So we've started an interesting trend here, Battletech Tactics, working our way through various mechs, some finer points of the game, looking at the Armored Combat starter set, and by chance working my way through some weapon profiles, looking at different tactical ways to use them. Some amazing feedback. We were just looking at the AC2 from you guys. Totally my secret weapon, totally new ideas to utilize and build various lances. Let's just kind of keep it rolling. So we were looking at 2 points of damage. Now let's look at something with a little bit more bite. And you know my personal Battletech philosophy is that big guns never tire. I want you to have your tactics. I want you to have your interlocking lance. I want you to have your fancy plans. But I run up 2 or 3 or 4 AC-20s point blank and start blasting away. A lot of that is going to quickly fade away. So I'm not going to just like jump to the AC-20 or LRM-20s. Let's look at something kind of middle of the road, something that's got some bite. Let's look at the PPC. 10 points of damage, 10 heat. Now, what's interesting is we start to see these. Now, there's always some outliers, right? I always confuse this. Multiple videos in, I'm still confusing this. Panther or Puma? I believe it's the Panther that has the light mech with the PPC. That is an example of taking that type of weapon and mounting it on something very unique, something very special to fulfill a very, very unique role. Where we start to see PPCs in abundance are on heavy and assault mechs. And what we see is either an example being the Battlemaster, where it has one PPC. This is the type of weapon that while it's on the way in, it's firing. It's there to try and soften up some damage. It's trying to soften up the target a little bit, essentially to do some decent damage, 10 points. So you figure on the way in as you're walking in, you've got maybe 3 or 4 shots before you close to point blank range. And the first shot, of course, is going to be at long range. You need 10 plus to hit. But the idea is then once you close, the Battlemaster is going to utilize those medium lasers and the SRM 6-pack on there. Compared to, say, something like the Longbow or the Archer, where the LRM 20s, they want to stay at extreme range. They want to keep you far away at that range. So the PPC is designed to deal with range, but there's the understanding that you're closing and getting closer and closer. Now, we also tend to see them in pairs. An example would be classics, right? The Marauder and the Warhammer. This is good, not only in Battletech, but kind of Wargaming Tactics 101, the idea behind redundancy. I'd like to have multiples of a weapon platform that has damage and range, because you're going to be moving, I'm going to be moving, there's going to be different targets. Just having one weapon to shoot, that's a lot of what-ifs. I've got to hit you. I've got to hit the spot that I want to damage you on. Maybe you'll interfere with that with facing a little bit. So at first glance, 2 PPCs, redundancy, but we're dealing with massive amounts of heat. And right now we're just looking at inner sphere tech level on there. We're going to leave kind of the clans out and pre-invasion, post-invasion, and all that. The challenge with the PPC is that it is not a consistent type weapon. And it's the type of weapon that as soon as another mech closes, you better have some other type of backup plan on there. So I don't see the PPC as a lead type weapon. And again, what I mean by that is something where it is the primary weapon that you're going to look to use every single turn. For most mechs, an outlier would be something like the Awesome. But even the Awesome mech, as awesome as it is, unless you're standing waist high in water where you have a coolant truck hooked up, you can't be chaining those PPCs every turn. It's the type of weapon that is the lead-in for most mechs. It's that 10 points of damage. It's pretty consistent, but the idea is you are going to close quick and then switch to other weapon systems. In theory, like we see with the Marauder with the lasers, and of course with the Warhammer as an example, we see with the lasers and the short-range missile pack on there.